Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Arkariem. Now, our format is for Karie and I to ask one another questions, two questions during each episode about a specific topic. And today's topic is gratitude. Before we get into our questions about gratitude, we are going to introduce ourselves. So, who are you, Miss Karie?
Hi, everyone. I am Karie Gonia, and I am a facilitator in a therapy called Family Constellation Therapy. I help people clean up ancestral trauma.
And I am Mark Edgar Stephens, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist, and I work with individuals, with groups, with companies for personal and professional coaching and some consulting. So, all right, let's get into our first question, Miss Karie. I will ask you from my carefully worded question here. All right, gratitude. How can gratitude be utilized to heal relationships of the past and present?
I feel like your questions are always so thoughtful. I appreciate them so deeply because I'm such a feeler. That's a great question. I think gratitude's everything. I think it can shift your vibration. I've seen gratitude shift family systems. Honestly, even just having the gratitude of going through hard times and being able to move through them or past them enough to stand in a place where you are grateful for it. I think gratitude in terms of relationships keeps people very present. I think I can speak for myself. I feel like when I'm in a space of gratitude, even if I'm in challenging situations with partners, friends, whatever, I feel like it takes me to a place where I have more compassion with where they're coming from, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. And you hit on something there that I'd love for you to go even a little deeper, which is the appreciation. So what is it, if we put gratitude into relationships, past or present, whether they worked out well or they didn't, when we put that gratitude in, what does it do to the level of appreciation, and why is appreciation important?
That's a great question. I had a pretty, it was a trauma bond, but I had a relationship, and at the end of that relationship, I really struggled deeply with feeling like I wasted my time, which was the first time that I had ever really experienced those feelings, and it was confusing, and I had to do a lot of forgiveness work within myself, not necessarily him, but then once I started to actually go back into that relationship and have gratitude for everything I learned, I really figured out quickly he's been my greatest teacher. So I think gratitude is such a powerful tool to shift literally anything in your life. I really do.
I agree with you 100%. So my experience is that whenever we put gratitude into something, that shift does happen to a level of appreciation. So we can either look at something that it appreciates, it gains in value, or it depreciates, it loses value. And when we use blame, shame, or guilt about previous relationships, even if there was hurt, even if there was pain in it, it takes away from the opportunity to actually have gained something, to have gained love, to have gained perspective, to have forgiven, any of those sorts of things. And to me, gratitude is one of the three cornerstones: love, gratitude, forgiveness. And going into or looking at relationships from a place of gratitude, no matter how that relationship went or how it ended or how it's currently going, that appreciation makes it more valuable and makes it then possible in the mind to be able to see what you learned from it or how it benefited you. Because I do believe no matter how toxic these relationships are, sometimes you can use that experience with gratitude and appreciation to be able to get to a new place in your life, even if it is the realization. And I've seen this happen over and over again. When people break a relationship pattern and they're grateful for what they've learned, they can actually move into a new place with a new person in a new type of relationship.
I was just going to say that a big part of family constellation therapy is witnessing. So witnessing the traumas, witnessing the pain of the past. And I always, honestly, in each constellation I do, I have people face their ancestors and tell them, thank you for the gift of your struggle. You've gone through so much so that I don't have to. And I feel like I mean, I can speak to my family system. I had a lot to clean up, and I have so much gratitude and appreciation for everything that they went through and just some of the stuff that I was entangled in. I feel like I get to choose to do things a different way and free them up as well. So,
Karie, one of the things I have to say about working with you as the facilitator of the work that you do at Family Constellation Therapy, when I worked with you, it was so beautiful because there was a healing for what happened in the past and being able to see it from a new perspective, so that leaving that session with you, there was a whole new appreciation for some of the things that I thought or that I had held in a place as holding me back or dictating certain parts of my life. And in clearing that up, I know personally through that work with you, I was able to have a different experience, a lot more gratitude, a lot more appreciation for what had been. So it's very, very powerful work that you facilitate about using gratitude and appreciation for our ancestors and for everything that happened, because it's one, we can't change the events of what happened, but we can certainly change our inner perception about that story.
and we can create new templates. We can create new programs for partnership that include gratitude and appreciation and love. You know, so many of the generational programs I deal with are shame-based, blame-based, betrayal-based, especially in marriages historically in the past. So that part's exciting to me, that we get to actually own that piece and choose a different way while honoring ourselves and honoring them, you know.
I love that you use the word choose, because I think that choice is at the heart of everything. And again, being very clear, and something that I've learned in my life, or that I hold on to in my life, is that what's going to happen is going to happen. If I stub my toe, and I can blame the cement or the curb or my shoe or my foot, I can blame it. And if I do that, then I have made that event wrong. Or I could say, well, what was that teaching me? And that may sound absolutely benign to say, you stubbed your toe, and what do you mean? What did you learn from it? Well, maybe I needed to slow down. Maybe I needed to look where I was going. Maybe I needed to look if there was some place I was holding myself back in terms of how I was moving forward in my life. So it is the game of shifting perspective about external events on that internal level, so that we can get the most from it. I think of it like opportunities. Like, what is the opportunity that we get from each thing, even if it was unpleasant or painful or hurtful? And going into that pain sometimes is what we have to do in order to appreciate what it's brought to us. And it may sound counterintuitive sometimes when you hear it, but I have seen it again and again, that by going into the pain and making friends with it, making friends with the events, making friends with gratitude and appreciation for the things that have happened, it frees us from that old story. So what question? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yes.
I'm sorry. I was like, that just sparked like a whole thing. When you were using the example of stubbing your toe, I have one client that she books a session with me every time she consecutively stubs her toe, because it's always something deeper, some upper limit that she's busting through, or some sabotage behavior that's coming up. But I feel like it's really hard to be in gratitude without being aware. So I love that you just use that example of, like, I think sometimes for gratitude, especially when you're in survival energy, it's like choosing even something minute to be grateful for or appreciative of can shift everything, you know.
With that, I am grateful for whatever question you have for me now. So fire away.
I love it. My first question is, what are you absolutely most grateful for in your life?
I am most grateful that for whatever reason, and I really mean this, whatever reason I was born with, so thank you, whatever, higher forces have brought this to me, that I was born with a natural proclivity for looking for the beauty, looking for the fun, looking for the upside in life, in people, in events, because I am very aware from the work that I do that most people, a lot of people, I wouldn't say most people, I'm saying most people, that most people don't look for that. We're looking for, how do I keep myself safe? How do I stay away from the negative thing. And of course, by focusing on the negative thing, we see more and more of the negative thing. And so the thing I'm most grateful for is that for whatever reason in this grand, higher forces, universal forces that have happened, I was born with that naturally. I'd like to say, oh, I worked so hard at it my whole life. I have worked at it. I've practiced it, but I was born that way. I was born already wanting to play, wanting to see things that were beautiful, wanting to, naturally trusting, naturally reaching out to the world and expecting something good back. The downside of that being that sometimes there is disappointment and there's frustration and all of those things that come along with it. And that's where the practice has come in, is always coming back to that state that there's more for which to be grateful than there is to be scared or to avoid. Or to try to run away from. And so the gratitude actually makes me keep moving into beautiful people, beautiful experiences, beautiful days. I start my morning every morning with 1.5 to 2 minutes of gratitude. I usually start with the mattress. I've said it before because I have a great mattress, and I go through all the things for which I am grateful. And the reason why I identify this as the thing I'm most grateful for is because I see the pain, I see the distress, I see what people go through when they're not focusing on the gratitude, but instead focusing on the pain, the fear, the shame, the guilt, the blame, the embarrassment, the anger, whatever it may be. And the alternative being feeling most of the time, a majority of the time, good or more positive, it beats the heck out of not feeling that way. So for that, I'm having there are a lot of people I have a lot more or a lot of different things, but the experience of my life, as I get reminded quite often, is one that tends to be joyful, happy, filled with gratitude, filled with love. And so that's what I'm most grateful for. It's a good life. It's a good life.
I love that. I love that.
And you?
It's funny, when I was orchestrating that question, I thought about it a lot, and I was surprised by my answer. So I have so much in my life to be grateful for. And I'm like you, I very much am a bright side, glass pouring over kind of gal. But I definitely feel like what I'm most grateful for in my life is my connection to spirit, which I wouldn't have said that before. It has been such a complicated journey, and having these gifts as a kid back in the 70s and 80s was not awesome, so I feel like the thing that I am most grateful for is the thing that I've avoided most of my life, which in the last decade has been really eye-opening for me. But hands down, I'm grateful for the gifts that I have. As burdensome as it has felt at times, I have to be really honest, I'm so grateful for the ability to go into these family systems and to know where trauma is stuck without them telling me. I'm grateful for the painful parts of my past that have allowed me to hold such incredible space for other people. I couldn't have done that had I not surrendered and become grateful for the journey that I'm on with spirit. I was really surprised by that because I'm such a family-oriented person, and anybody that knows me knows that I talk about my nephews ad nauseum. Like, I'm such a kid-oriented person. And when I wrote the question yesterday, I was like, oh man, it's walking with them. Like, it makes me emotional. It's walking with them.
It's beautiful. It's good to get emotional with it because you care about it so much. Yeah. Karie, there's something I'd love for you to talk about. I know it's something we've talked about. It's the gratitude for your connection to spirit and for the gifts that you have. But with that, there were challenges, and you've spoken in the past to me because of the sensitivity, because of what that brings up. Would you go down that road just a little bit farther? Because, and the reason why is because I believe that every gift in life, whether that's the gift of, like your gifts, the higher gifts that you have, the gift of making money, the gift of love, the gift of humor, the gift of health, all of these gifts, there's always a double-edged sword. And the double-edged sword is the responsibility that we carry for those things. And that's the way that I would put it. And most of the time it's worth the price. And I always ask people, whatever it is that you're choosing, just make sure it's worth the price. And most of the time it is, if your heart is going in that direction. But there is always a price. And the price for having the gifts that you have is the sensitivity. So tell me about that double-edged side of the sword, for you.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, I feel like what we were shamed for as kids are our superpowers, right? Like I was so creative, so intuitive. I started having dreams about ancestors when I was like 3 or 4 and would tell my parents, hey, these dead people told me XYZ. And those things happened to be true, people that had passed on before I was born. But I grew up in a very programmed generational family. I grew up with a lot of love, but I also grew up with life is hard. Emotion is weakness. Toughen up, fight the pain. That was a big one in my household. And I fell into that program and literally for decades, like probably honestly, Mark, over 3 decades, thought that this gift in my heart was wrong. Like I've had to do a lot of work to come to terms with the sensitivity of all of this. And now I love it because now too, I think since I stopped resisting it, honestly, it's gotten easier because as a kid, as a teen, I mean, teen years are so angsty anyway, but I just remember like going to the mall and it would be a really horrific experience because I would feel everybody's stuff, So I think, I don't know, it definitely was a burden until my teachers showed up. I'm really lucky. My teachers showed up when I was young and got me on a path where I could protect my energy and set boundaries, even energetic boundaries with spirit, and then really own who I was. And it wasn't until that piece fully integrated that I think the gratitude rushed in. Because it always just felt like it was something on my back that I was carrying forward or something that I was trying to hide. I was really good about hiding that part,
With that, so I'm going to ask my next question, and I think it piggybacks on that a bit or builds on that. So there's a lot going on in our world right now, like unprecedented things happening in our world. As a society and as an interconnected global community, I'm going to say that again, interconnected, meaning everything that affects one is affecting everybody. So that was a preaching moment for me, but I wanted to say it. As a society and as an interconnected global community, for what should we be most grateful at this time in our collective present?
Man, I feel like that could be answered so many different ways. I think for the awareness that we are interconnected. I think everyone was so siloed before all of this trauma started happening, right? Like people were asleep or on autopilot. I've seen it a lot in the last 9 months. So it's been really beautiful to see people actually wake up and have gratitude for slowing down or gratitude for being with their families or gratitude for going to the store and helping a stranger. So I think the connection piece is something that is profoundly important as we move forward because we've never been here before, right? Everything is breaking down so that we can shift into this new way of being. And I think we have finally realized we need each other to do it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to piggyback on that and just say, what I'm hearing is everything, like be grateful for everything, because we are appreciating the small things and the little things in ways that we didn't before. A lot of things that I took for granted, that we have taken for granted, are now so much in our vision, in our perception, that because once it's taken away, you realize that it's a gift to be able to go to the grocery store and get whatever you need, including toilet paper. It is a gift to be able to hug someone. It is a gift to be able to jump on a plane and go halfway across the continent if you need to. And when those things are taken away or when they are curtailed, there is that feeling of, wow, there's so much for which to be grateful. And I would expand that then to say, if we could, and again, I am not a master, I am a practicing student of it, of being grateful for absolutely everything that happens on a day-to-day basis, everything, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like. Because again, the essence, the state, the energy of gratitude, one, it begets more gratitude, but also in that better feeling place of gratitude, one of the things on a clinical level, we always say, oh, I can multitask, I can do all of these things. But really what science shows is that the mind actually can only focus on one thing at a time. It might switch from moment to moment. It might switch from second to second. But the more we practice the vibration, the more we practice the thought, the dominant thought being in gratitude, the less space there is for anything else like shame, blame, guilt, pain, any of those things. And so practicing actually being in gratitude of everything, no matter what it is, keeps us in that better feeling place, that more, for lack of a better word, joyful, happy, and by the way, those are good words, joyful, happy place, because we are practicing that vibration. We are practicing that dominant thought. And if you read any of the studies on happiness, they always say happiness is not so much it's not a place you get to. It is a practiced vibration, constantly moving into love, gratitude, forgiveness, love, gratitude, forgiveness, over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a lot of clients this week, and there was a thread that just kind of kept coming through for everyone. And it was really about making self-honoring choices. And it really stuck with me of like, yeah, I feel like all of us are awake enough now to actively choose gratitude or choose happiness. Can you do it 100% of the time? No. I always tell people your vibration will just kind of ricochet as you're learning how to walk in that new higher timeline. But yeah, everything, just everything. It changed so quickly. Our world changed so quickly. And I feel like, or the people in my life or the people in my circle, everyone got grateful really quickly, even about the annoying things. So.
Yeah, that's key what you just said,
Yeah.
to be grateful even for the annoying things. You can hear this from couples who have been together for a long time. They'll say, oh, this is the thing really bugged me about him or bugged me about her. And then when that person's gone because of the natural course of life, the person dies, moves out of the body, and they say, gosh, I would give anything to hear that person snoring again, or to hear that person smacking too loud, because you miss those things, because you realize, gosh, I should have been grateful for all those moments. Again, we are human. So I don't know anyone who is grateful 100% of the time, because we are in this human experience. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. Let me forgive myself for all the times that I fall out of gratitude, which is often, but being grateful once again that we have the practiced behavior, the practiced thought of moving back into gratitude. And on that note, I'm very grateful for you, Miss Karie.
I'm very grateful for you. Okay. My next question, my friend, is how do you remain in gratitude when your environment or the world is shifting, crumbling, falling apart?
Okay, so this is a great question. And once again, I'm going to reiterate, I am a very good practiced student. I am not mastering all of the time. For me, and I will answer this the way that it works for me, and then I will answer the way that it's worked for clients, and the way that it could work for others should they choose to employ it, because it's always a choice. It is always a choice what we focus on. So we are seeing everything crumble. The society, the way that we've known it, economy, health, so many things just crumbling and changing right now. And within those changes, there is opportunity, but it's very challenging to see those opportunities when it's happening to us, and when we're scared of what we're losing, or scared of what could happen, or we simply want to avoid it, or we want to go back to the way things were. And there is no going back. There is no going back to the way things were. We are going to be moving forward. For me, it is about, first and foremost, accepting what I'm feeling in the moment. And that is key. When people immediately say, just put on a happy face, just smile through the pain. No, get to the feeling of what it is first. Tell me everything about that feeling. Like really, go into the pain. What is it? I'm scared. I am angry. I am frustrated. I am hurt. I am embarrassed. I am guilty. I am shameful. Go into it. Go into the feeling. Tell me everything about that feeling. Give me all the whys. Give me every little detail that your mind is coming up with, just so that we get it out there and we get it on the table. And this is what I do with myself also. All right, what is this feeling of frustration that I'm having? And for me, it's journaling, and I write it out and I go, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. Then I breathe into it. Okay, it's settling in my body here or here or here. And I breathe into where it's settling into my body. And I breathe into it until I feel some relaxation. At the moment that I feel some relaxation from that feeling that I've identified, then I can actually have a more open perspective, a more open feeling for something else to come in. Because what I do then is I take a look at the thing that I was making wrong, the change, the crumbling of society, the sickness, the whatever it may be, and I take a look at it, and that's when I say, what are the gratitudes that are coming from this? What are the gratitudes? What are the things that have come from this? It has slowed us down a bit. Nature has come back out in force. We are appreciating the little changes more than we ever did before. We are appreciating the fact that there's this interconnectedness and this desire to want to connect at a really deep and beautiful level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And as I focus on all of those things, I find myself feeling better and better and better. From that better feeling place, then I can say, all right, let me puzzle even further. Like, what is it about all of these things that were necessary? Why did these things have to happen? What are we getting from this experience? And then more and more reasons start to come up. So then my perspective on the previous experience changes, like within the moment. Then I'm in a slightly better feeling place, which does what? It affects the world around me because my mirror neurons are firing, that I am grateful for the moment, that I'm in a better feeling place, which affects the people around me. They start to feel better, and collectively we all start to feel better. So that was a very long explanation, but it really is a step-by-step process. What do you feel first? Identify what you're feeling. Breathe into what you're feeling. Don't try to make it go away. Find any gratitudes for what it is, for what you're feeling. See if you can, change that perspective. Take a look at whatever that is. Once you've done that, you'll be in a slightly better feeling place so that you can actually puzzle in even more things that are happening for why this experience or why this situation is happening. Then you can actually start to affect the world around you so that your inner circle, and then from your inner circle, a greater circle starts to lift up and feel better. And I believe that that's what we are capable of doing as individuals, as a community, as a global society, that the more we are able to focus on the truth of what we feel and then move into, to actively shift by shifting perspective, to shift into something that lifts up our vibration, that makes us feel a little higher, the better we are able to affect the world around us, and then the world around us affects us in return. And I believe that that's our job, our responsibility, and I believe it's our joy as well. Because if you have the awareness, and again, for me, it's not 100% of the time, 70, 80% of the time, to have the awareness that I may not have control of the world that's crumbling around me, but I do have control of what I'm thinking, and what I'm thinking affects what I'm feeling. And if I can consciously change that thought and that feeling, that's a very powerful place. So then I become even more grateful for the fact that I'm that powerful. Not that I'm commanding the world to do my bidding, but I am certainly tapping into what's going on here from a truthful place, honoring it, and then shifting that perspective so that I can be in a place that I affect the world in a more powerful or more profound way.
Well, yeah, because you're showing up differently. You respond differently. I love that you brought up don't slap on a happy face. And spiritual bypassing drives me nuts because obviously in family systems, the root is survival. The root of most family systems are trauma. And so it's really difficult to just tell someone to do a gratitude list or affirmation if they feel like they're in hell. So I think it's really important to sit with what is coming up and kick and scream and then find something to be grateful for. So
Yeah,
I love that you brought that up.
you have to honor all of the feelings. You have to honor the pain. You have to honor the loss. You have to grieve. If you don't do all of that, as you know from all the trauma, it's like PTSD.
Yeah.
We when we cannot process, when we it's the deer in the headlights. When we cannot process what's going on, that emotion, that trauma sits there and it keeps repeating itself over and over again. We even will see the external world as a repeated movie, a repeated episode over and over again. Even if the world is showing up differently, our perception sees it that way over and over again because the mind is still trying to process whatever that trauma was. And so processing that trauma is part of that, as best as we can, is being truthful in the moment about what we feel. And if we feel any of those things that are the less desirable feelings, let's just call it that, we have to be honest with that and we have to process that. Otherwise it just sits there in the system and it's not processed. And it really is, it's like wrapping up a piece of garbage in a beautiful package. Okay, it's a beautiful package. It's not really there. No, you open that package, there's going to be this thing there that you got to deal with, and it may not smell good. It may not look good. You may not want it, but you've got to deal with it because if it's part of the creation, part of your creation, part of your experience, and that's what I call your creation, part of your experience, you've got to see it for what it is and then find the gratitude. And if you put what comes out of you into your garden, the fertilizer, it's going to make things grow in really beautiful ways. It has its purpose. It serves its purpose. There is a reason for it. And that, again, I think is part of our job, this as spirits in this human form, to be able to see the purpose and see the opportunity and see the blessing in everything, no matter whether it's bright and shiny and beautiful and smells good or not.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so grateful for these conversations.
So, Karie, in just a moment, I'm going to have you take us out of this wonderful episode. But what I want to say to anybody that's listening is that you can reach out to Karie, you can reach out to me here at Arkariem by writing to the following email address. It's talk2arkariem@gmail.com. That's TALK, the number 2, arkariem@gmail.com. We will do our best to incorporate whatever it is that you ask, topics, questions, and create this little Arkariem community. And with that, Karie, we were talking about gratitude in this episode. So take us out with something about gratitude.
I feel like I can speak for you when I say that we are so grateful to be a part of this community and to be a part of the collective as a whole. I've watched people struggle in the last 9 months, feeling alone, feeling separate, and you're not. I'm grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that we are all connected. And yeah, give yourself a break. Walk in gratitude 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day and see what changes.